Hey, if you feel like the summer is getting away from you and you haven't had fun, it's like early August now. How about the Excite Center at Parks Casino? State-of-the-art entertainment venue inside the Parks Casino, right in Bucks County, in the Philly burbs. Great place to see a show. I can personally attest to that because I've seen a number of great shows there. And the lineup is terrific and it's very diverse. Like whatever you're into, they've got it. August 25th, the Marshall Tucker Band. September 7, Australian Pink Floyd. J.B. Smoove on September 14. A tribute act, The Best of the Eagles, coming on September 20. On September 21, it's country star Dustin Lynch. September 27, comedian Tiffany Haddish. The Fray on September 28. The Juicy Scoop podcast with Heather McDonald. October 4, October 5, comedian Kev Herrera. And October 18, the a cappella sounds of Straight No Chaser. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all the shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You've got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the Friday headlines from the Smerconish.com daily newsletter. We have a local Fox affiliate story. Josh Shapiro having canceled all of his weekend events ahead of Vice President Kamala Harris's announcement as to who will be her running mate. He's not the only who apparently will be interviewed this weekend. Andy Beshear from Kentucky is another, maybe Tim Walz. I think Secretary Pete cleared his calendar as well. I've got to say, and I'm consistent if nothing else, I think it's going to be Josh Shapiro, and I think it makes a tremendous amount of sense for it to be Josh Shapiro. Let me just say, I saw some coverage from the New York Times talking about where things stand that I find interesting, the whole backstory to this. The law firm hired by the Harris campaign to investigate potential vice presidential candidates has completed its work, leaving the final decision, the most important yet of the still new campaign, squarely in Vice President Kamala Harris's hands. Covington and Burling, the Washington law firm tasked with the vetting, completed the job on Thursday afternoon and turned over its findings to Ms. Harris, according to two people briefed on the process. Harris has blocked off several hours on her calendar this weekend to meet with the men being considered to join the ticket, according to two people who have viewed her schedule and who, like others interviewed, spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized. The Harris campaign has suggested it will announce the decision by Tuesday evening, when the vice president and her yet-to-be-named running mate begin a 5-day tour of presidential battleground states starting in Philadelphia. I just don't, it's not only for this reason, I'll explain, but I just don't see her putting Josh Shapiro in the uncomfortable position of showing up in Philadelphia on Tuesday. Hey, Josh, can you introduce me with Tim Walz or with Mark Kelly?
It would just be somewhere else if it wasn't. You feel like the rollout would not be in Philadelphia.
It's one of many factors.
Okay.
I mean, what does that look like for Josh Shapiro?
Awkward. Team unity.
Yeah, little humor.
Yeah, Philly is for you, and here we all are.
Right.
I think it could work. In other words, I hear you, but I don't think it's 100%.
Okay, well that's not my primary reason. That's just a practical consideration.
What else?
I think it's a matter of geography and it's a matter of ideology. It's a matter of, pardon me if I'm being repetitious, but it's Friday and this is about to happen, so I want to be on record. The geography is well known. Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes are of critical importance. All roads continue to lead through Pennsylvania. It's nice to be here. I feel like we live in Iowa or New Hampshire every 4 years. We're getting the treatment that those states normally get at the outset. So it's the importance of Pennsylvania. It's the fact that he's got a 61% approval rating in Pennsylvania. I really think he could move the needle for her, and he doesn't have to move it far. If it's a half a point, which is what 538 says a vice presidential pick is typically good for, or maybe it's a little bit more in his case, but he's riding high. And Pennsylvania is important, and he's a popular guy. So geography is important. Ideology is important as well. All of the things that the progressive elements of the Democratic Party are raising to say it should not be Josh Shapiro. And by the way, they include Michael Moore. Everything that they say is a reason that I say That's another good reason why it should be Josh Shapiro. Because Kamala Harris will be portrayed, perhaps accurately so, as being a very progressive individual. And Josh is not that progressive. He's not a conservative.
No, but he's
a
also
moderate guy.
Moderate, and one that talks to the other side of the aisle.
Yes.
And one that is liked by the other side of the aisle. Oh, wow. So I think it would be a very interesting choice.
I mean, that he's...
Mark Kelly's the same way.
Yes, I'll get to that.
Okay.
That he's been for school vouchers. I think it's a good thing.
Right.
He received the American Federation of Teachers endorsement despite that position. I think that I disagree with Josh Shapiro in looking at how he's responded to the campus unrest when he called for Liz McGill's firing at Penn. I think that was a mistake. I don't think she should have been fired for all the reasons I've said here consistently. Her appearance in front of a congressional committee was horrible, but she said things that were legally correct. She was just a bit of an egghead in her presentation. But Josh drawing a hard line with the campus unrest, I agree with that. His condemnation of anti-Semitism, I agree with that. So, there are progressive groups out there, and this is Michael Moore's pitch. Was like, it could be a problem winning Michigan if it's Josh Shapiro. I don't think so. I think that Kamala Harris is riding so high right now and has so much cred with progressives that I think that vote's locked up. She needs to do something that tethers more toward the middle. And among those who are on this list, I think Shapiro does that, and I think Mark Kelly could do that. I think Mark Kelly is central casting good.
I'm watching comments on YouTube, and Jim Stinger just wrote, "It's amazing that Shapiro was fixing parks in Montco 6 years ago. What a country."
Who said that?
Jim Stinger. I love
Jim.
that.
Jim.
It's the greatest comment ever.
Jim, I'm going to recreate this. TC and I were trying to do it on the fly this morning, and we couldn't, but we will. I must recreate for you, Jim, that I wrote a column years ago. I don't remember what it was about, but it referenced Josh Shapiro, and he called me to complain, and I think he wrote a letter to the editor.
Amazing. We got to find it. We must find it.
Right?
Must find it. We like Josh. We like Josh.
For sure.
We must find
for sure. Yeah, I got to find it.
But I interrupted you. You were saying that Mark Kelly also...
Larry, our friend Larry Seisler tells a really funny story about... now, you always believe that there was no radio existence for me until you came along,
well,
and I have to say there were some things that occurred, TC.
They were dark.
So I remember doing a remote broadcast in Abington at a diner across from where the Sears used to be. This would mean nothing to you, but the Sears in Abington.
No, I remember Sears.
Oh, you do not. In Abington?
Not in Abington. I grew up in North Carolina. There were Sears in North Carolina.
Okay.
How dare you?
Well, the Sears.
I'm 52.
The
I know
Sears in Abington. The Sears in Abington had a Ticketron machine, and the word on the street was if you were going to sleep out for tickets, you wanted to sleep. All right, we're really far afield. I'm just.
What are you even talking about?
No,
Ticketron.
I love this story.
Oh, hi, Dan.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. I require very little encouragement. If you were going to sleep out for tickets, then the best place to sleep out would be at the Spectrum, because those that came off their machine were the front few rows. And then there were Ticketron machines all over the, quote, Delaware Valley, where you would also be able to get your tickets. The Sears in Doylestown is where I would get mine. But the Abington Sears was always thought to be the second best place to get your tickets, that they were going to get the priority after the Spectrum.
Got it.
So it was Spectrum, then it was the Sears in Abington, and then it was everybody else. Anyway, across from the Sears in Abington, there was a diner, and I did a live show in the diner, and on that day, Bill Clinton was my guest by phone.
Oh.
You were not there for that.
I was not, but I played the audio in subsequent years.
I have to think of what
You've
campaign.
always treated me well, and I have watched you often on CNN.
That's where it came from.
Yeah.
I have to think about what election that was, but whatever it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I remember Larry calling me and saying, could you please put on air this state representative from Abington, Josh Shapiro.
And kudos to Larry, who obviously has good instincts.
Larry is doing an event with Josh today.
before he canceled every other event?
Yeah, he's still doing Larry's event.
Okay.
He'll be with Larry at Cheney University.
Why am I not surprised by this?
Yeah. Anyway, Mark Kelly's a good pick too.
Okay.
Mark Kelly is central casting good on paper, but I don't think.
Wait, does Larry? Would Josh tell Larry if it was him?
I don't think that Josh has been told.
Oh.
I don't think that Josh has been told, but
God,
I just like all the signs.
Like, would Larry tell you?
I don't think
I have questions.
Let me say this. I don't think that the Harris campaign would allow this perception to build the way that it has for Josh, because you don't want Pennsylvanians feeling
slighted.
Right.
Slighted is a good
Which
word.
is another reason why.
Okay.
It's going to be Josh.
Okay. I'm thrilled.
Gonna be
Great. I hope
Josh.
it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, more headlines now from the Friday edition of the newsletter. TC, what you got?
Well, we talked about the poll results and the poll question. Everyone go vote at Smerconish.com, and thank you for all those poll suggestions. Scott Stantis, Friday cartoon for Smerconish.com.
Love
Would you
it.
like to explain?
Love it. You describe. I love it.
So it's an American political prisoner who won't be released anytime soon, and it's Uncle Sam tied up watching election 2024.
Right. In light of the news of the hostages, the prisoners, I shouldn't say hostages, the prisoners being released, it's like, hey, here's one who's not going to be released until this election ends. It's all of us.
At Smerconish.com,
Love that.
2 headlines from the Olympics. One fun, one not so much fun. And the one that's fun is that Tom Cruise is going to perform a stunt during the closing ceremony. Evidently, there's some sort of skydiving stunt. We'll see on August 11th. So tune in for that. He's been in the stands. The celebrity viewing is amazing, including Jason and Kylie Kelsey, who are, of course, my fan favorites. And they were watching the rugby and they were watching the gymnastics. And I just find that fun. But anyway, so Tom Cruise. And then the Forbes piece, which is very interesting, what to know about the Olympics gender debate after Italy's Angela Carini withdraws from women's boxing match. That's over. She was boxing with Algeria's Iman Khelif, who was disqualified last year because she failed a gender eligibility test. What's interesting about this is we've had so many conversations in this country about trans athletes and whether they should be allowed to play in their identified gender as opposed to their birth gender. That's not what's going on here. Khelif has not ever identified as a trans woman. Trans is, I think, illegal in Algeria, so I'm not sure where that fits in. Whether she was born male, whether she has high testosterone, there are all kinds of other things that could be going on. There are questions about her gender eligibility. And evidently she punched the woman the hardest she's ever felt, and she withdrew because she felt like she was in danger.
I watched it. I mean, I watched it, and I didn't see. I heard some commentators saying, "Look at that, look at that," and I have a fairly trained eye to watch boxing in particular because I've been a fan forever. Never big on the whole UFC thing, but boxing, conventional boxing, I do like. I never saw like a particular punch where you said, "Oh my God." But the fighter, the Italian fighter, did say, I've never been hit like that before. But to your point, this is not
that.
Leah Thomas.
No,
this is not
that is not what this is.
This is not a transition case.
Well, we don't know.
Well, but in this case, there's a report that the boxer from Algeria had been born with XY chromosomes, a pair of chromosomes typically possessed by men. It's not the case of someone who transitions and says, now I wish to compete that way. Anyway, the Forbes explainer, which is why I personally selected it, lays all this out.
Yeah.
Because I went looking for where I could get my questions answered. Get to the next story, please.
Kevin Costner's Horizon 2 set for Venice Film Festival world premiere after pulled U.S. release.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Second chapter, second chance.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, we're back, baby.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. That's amazing.
The Western epic's second chapter was scrapped earlier this month from its planned August 16 release in U.S. theaters after Horizon's first installment, which carried a $100 million budget, earned only 11. Chapter 2 stars Costner again. He directs and stars in it. Will bow on the Lido out of competition on September 7. The world premiere will be... Maybe I should go to this.
You should go to it. Why not?
Yeah. Well, because I don't feel like going to...
Venice?
To Venice, yeah.
What?
Venice is not on my...
What?
Just not on my list.
Why not?
I love Italy, but there are many other places in Italy I'd like to return to or go explore. Venice is just not one of them.
Wow.
The whole canal thing.
Huh? What's wrong with you?
Huh?
Canals? Boats?
That water is dirtier than the Seine.
How do you know?
You don't have to swim in
I
it.
read.
You're not going to a triathlon.
Yeah. You would want to go there.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I want to go everywhere.
Yeah. All right.
California.
Anyway, I'm happy for Kevin Costner.
I know.
I mean,
because
I
read your review.
The guy put everything into it and finished the second part. I don't know what becomes of parts 3 and 4, and I enjoyed part 1. But I'm just happy that part 2 is going to be seen.
Also from Smerconish.com, KTLA piece, California fast food workers want another minimum wage increase, as goes California. Keep an eye on that one.
Correct. That's why it's in there.
You need to explain this next one to be. Maybe it's been a while since I've traveled with a small child.
I thought the same thing.
proposes ban on airline fees for seating parents next to kids.
Right. Well, you know how the airlines nickel and dime you for everything.
Yeah, but when you buy tickets, you choose your seats and you're next to whoever you want to be next to. I don't understand.
Yeah, but you're not guaranteed that way, right?
Of course you are. If I buy tickets, I buy FA and FB.
No. You have to go on. Take it from somebody with 4 kids. You have to go on and you have to click. They might not all be available.
Oh, okay.
And you might have to pay. You might have to pay a fee then for that.
Okay, if they're not all available, but when I buy tickets, I go online and I choose to sit next to who I'm traveling with, and then it's okay.
I would submit to you that you're buying 2, and that it gets more complicated when you've got kids and a bunch of them.
All right.
So Secretary
that
Pete,
was only 3 because I only had 1 child. So.
Secretary Pete is not going to let it happen.
All right, I found that fascinating. I learned something. How about that?
And in the travel section,
are you buying the Greenbrier?
I'm buying the Greenbrier.
It's not really for sale. What's going on here?
They have financial problems, and it's owned by West Virginia Governor Jim Justice, and it's spectacular.
Yeah, but is it going up for auction or is it not?
Dan, have you been to the Greenbrier?
I did once when I was a young child, so I don't really remember all of its benefits. But yes, I've been there once, but I was like 6.
Yeah, it's something that I always wanted to do because of the bunker. After Ted Gupp, our friend, exposed it. Mm-hmm. And when I was there and it had already opened up for tours, it was closed for some kind of maintenance thing. I was so bummed. But we've been back as a family, and I have taken the tour, and it is in West Virginia. It's not easily reached, but it is spectacular.
Yeah. You've
been there.
I have not been there.
You have to go there.
I did go to Mohunk on your recommendation.
Did I lead you astray?
Which kind of reminds me of that.
Hesitancy. You didn't like Mohunk Mountain?
I liked Mohunk. Mohunk is old school.
You don't like old school?
Mohunk's old school.
Oh, I'm sorry, not flashy enough for you, TC? There wasn't a hair dryer in the vanity?
Interestingly, did you notice that there are no TVs in the rooms?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. You're not there to watch TV.
I didn't.
Maybe it's not for you.
I never watched
Stay
TV.
home and watch TV.
Oh my gosh, why are you so bitter? But wait, I'm confused because it says that it's up for auction and then it says the Greenbrier would not be sold. So what's going on here?
They're having financial problems.
I understand.
And,
so what's happening?
Well, what happens is
you buy the debt or something?
You owe money. They slap a lien on it and they say, hey, if you don't settle this, then it's going to go to auction. And then it probably won't.
And then
you know that Governor Justice is the one with that. Is it a bulldog?
Whatever it is, I remember, and they love that dog.
Yeah, I love the resort.
It's a bulldog.
I love and I remember that they had little hangers on the door that said it's sleepy time down south. Never forgot that. And the Greenbrier. One other thing about the Greenbrier, when we went there with our kids when they were young, and took a picture in front of one of the cottages where it was clearly identified. It was not a cottage that we were staying in, but it was just a nice place to take a picture.
Sure.
And we returned not 20 years later, but probably 15.
Oh, wait, I can picture the 2 pictures.
And we lined everybody up.
Same way.
Only now there was a son-in-law in the picture.
Right.
I think he was a fiancé
then.
And
the boys were a little taller.
And we lined everybody up in the position that they had been those many years before. This is going to upset me just to even think about it. And then we sent out a Christmas card with both pictures.
Yep. So great.
It was just a really cool thing.
So great. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. The Greenbrier.
All right. And on that note.
All right. Listen, there's a lot of great stuff. Let me just say that I am off next week. The newsletter, most importantly, will continue, and I will be selecting all the links, and you will be in great hands. Vote on the poll question. I'll be writing those too. And if you are in Indianapolis and you want to come see me in November, I'm doing a Mingle presentation that I'm really looking forward to, and you can see in all of my social media the details, okay? Thank you, TC. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, PJ. You're over there. Appreciate all your video skills. Randy
Randy
Jackson, Jackson 5. See you, everybody.